welcome to another brand new episode here on Sunnyside Up Farms. How are you all doing this morning? Hope you're all doing very well. So as you can see, we have still got the tractor and the drill out in the fields, but we've only got this field to drill and then the field directly in front of us. The field behind that we are going to plough and if we've got enough money, we're going to be buying a new plough. If we haven't got enough money, we're going to be hiring a new plough. Yeah, that's the plan anyway. And as I say, we just need to get that one done because I'm going to grow sugar beet in there. I think at the moment I'm going to be growing sugar beet in there, and that obviously will help with the pigs. Yes, it's now two sort of animal types to think about food for and to think about looking after. So it's good, you know. We're slowly but surely we're progressing, and you know, that's what we want to do. That's, you know, what, you know, we, as I say, we want to do. And you would have thought actually they would have put a hedge down. Oh, is there a hedge there? There is a hedge there. Jesus. My cataracts are worse than what I thought. I was thinking, you'd think they'd put a hedge across there, wouldn't you? Oh dear. So, yes, last night, talking about my cataracts, so I went to a friend's house, because my mum's not been very well, and luckily and thankfully she's on the mend now, but she's fine. Anyway, yesterday I went to a friend's house. Anyway, I was there, and you know, we're sort of having you know, a good time, just chatting, and you know, sort of what have you, and she said to me, she said, how about, she said, I'll get you, she had a nice plate of my spaghetti bolognese. I said, now then, I said, what's the special occasion? So she laughed. So she said, because apparently she only ever cooks her special spaghetti bolognese for her husband when he said it's when I know I'm in luck. He said, I'll say that much. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So suddenly she offers to cook me this special spaghetti bolognese in front of her husband, right? So I said to her, I said, aye. I said, does that mean my luck's in? So he says to me, he says, you can bloody have her as far as I'm concerned, mate. So I said, I'm only kidding. I said, you know, I don't want no one to be upset by that. I said, I was only kidding. He said, hey, you alright? He said, that's fine. So anyway, she does the spaghetti bolognese, and we're in the living room after, you know, sort of tea, evening meal, whatever you call it, sort of across the world and in the UK. Anyway, so I'm, you know, we were in the living room. So she says to me, she says, I got up to go to the loo. So she said to me, she said, oh, you couldn't do me a favour, could you? So I said, yeah, what's that? She goes, couldn't get me a my strawberry yogurt out of the fridge. She goes, help yourself to one if you want one. She had, like, you know, but she had, you know, she can't be off to get up. She had, Ubby's lazy bugger anyway. So he said, you know, she said he won't get up. So he said, would you mind? So I said, no, not at all. I said, like, I said, it's just in the fridge, yeah? He said, yeah, it's just in the fridge. So, oh, yeah, fair enough. So, goes off, anyway, gets to the fridge, opens the fridge up, don't want that down, opens the fridge up, and I must have been looking in there for a good couple of 3 minutes, and I you know, I went back in the living room. I said, it's not there. So she said, no, it is. So I said, no, I said, there's not one in there. I said, I even moved stuff as well, you know, to make sure. I said I wasn't being a wally. So she looked at her Ubby. She goes, are you Edit? He said, no, I ain't Edit, sweetheart. He said, it's yours. So she got up, literally opened the fridge door, picked it up off the shelf. picked it up off the shelf. She went, "What's that then?" So I said, "Ah, yeah." I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Oh." I said, "It's odd, I didn't see it." I said, "It's right at the front there." She goes, "I know." She said, "And because I know where it was," she said, "you've picked it up." So I said, "Cool." I said, "My bloody cataracts are getting worse, you know." She said, "It's nothing to do with your cataracts." She said, "You're just blind." She said, "Like, you know, I can't believe you missed that." I said, "Well," I said, no." I said, no. I can't believe I missed it either." I said, "Oh, I apologise." She was like, she goes, "Bloody men. And you're bloody useless, you lot are." And, yeah, so, my poor cataracts get blamed for everything. Although I have sort of, you know, severely told myself that should I unfortunately, God forbid, have a car accident, whatever I do, whatever I say to the police, or whatever fault it is, I must not say, "Oh, my cataracts are getting bad." I could be in trouble for that one. So it's like, you know, it's fine using it, you know, sort of every day, you know, in general, you know, blah blah blah. But you know, definitely do not be saying this at the scene of a crash. "Oh, my cataracts are getting bad, officer. I can barely see you, son." Dear. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to carry on with the drilling of the wheat in, say, this field, and then the field that's now directly behind me. In the field directly in front of me, I've got the little David Brown in there rolling, so he's, you know, catching me up. You can just about make him out there, actually. But yeah, so he's catching me up, which is you know, good. So we used to do this as well on the farm that I worked on. So if we were drilling, I mean, it's not really late autumn, you know, it's still early autumn. But the problem is with Farming Simulator is that once today reaches midnight, I can't then roll these fields. So unfortunately, you have to kind of have the rolls, you know, right behind you. Especially, I mean, if it had been set 1, I'd have been fine because I'd have had another day. So I could have got it all drilled in one day and then all rolled the next day. But yeah, it isn't. So it means that I've got to have the rolls, as I say, shoved up me bottom, because as I say, otherwise I shall miss the opportunity to roll. Now, I mean, in real life, you know, I mean, a lot of farms now are starting to roll the autumn drilling. You know, the farm that I used to work on, funnily enough, yesterday, was doing just that. And again, I didn't have my phone. I've got to start remembering to take my phone with me everywhere I go in case there's tractors out in the field. But I also saw some tractors tatey planting yesterday, and sugar beet drilling, and because I didn't have my phone with me. So I said to my friend yesterday, I said, "Oh, I got a new phone." So she said, "What have you?" She said, "What you got?" She had another 25 quid job. So I said, "Nah." I said, "It's a bit more expensive, this one." So she said, "What you got?" So I said, "A Samsung S25. So she goes, "Ooh," she said, "I've got the S24. So I said, "All right." I said, "Oh, cool." She said, "Oh," she said, "You'll love that phone." So I said, "I will." She goes, "Yeah." She said, "The camera on it is absolutely bloody incredible." She said, "And it's also got this thing called Movie Maker on it." So I said, "Right." So she said, like, you know, you're able to sort of shoot, you know, really good movies with it and that. So I said, "Oh, right, excellent, cool." So I said, "Yeah." I said, the only problem is," I said, "I ain't got it out of the box yet." She said, "You ain't got it?" She said, "Well, how long you had it?" So I said, 2 weeks. She was like, 2 weeks and you haven't taken it out of the box yet? I said, "No." I said, "I don't know what it is." I said, "I know it sounds a bit odd." I said, "But I'm a little bit intimidated by it." I said, "I got to be honest." I said, "I'm not very good with tech, as you know." I said, and not only that, I said, "I'm afraid I'll really like it." I said, "Is that a thing?" And she was like, she goes, "Well, it clearly is a thing because clearly you're feeling it." So I said, "Well, I know." I said, "But it's not normal, is it?" So she said, "James, you're not normal." She said, don't worry about it not being normal. She said, you're nowhere near normal. She said, you're the least normal person I know. And so I'm sort of looking at her, and I said, I don't know whether that's a compliment or not. She goes, well, I mean it in a nice way. She said, that's why I'm friends with you. She said, because she said you're bloody good fun. She said, but yeah, she said like, she said, I heard about your little joke the other week. I said, my little joke? She said, yeah, your little joke the other week. She goes, wasn't very nice, was it? So I said, what little joke? She said, you know, when was round your mum's. So I said, Debbie her name is. I don't know why I did not say the name. Debbie her name is. So I said, yeah. She said, and she had like, you know, she told you that her friend Jess had died. I went, oh, that joke. Yeah, that didn't go down too well. She goes, I'll tell you what. I said, what's that? She goes, if I'd have been the one sat on your mum's settee crying. I said, yeah. She goes, and you told me that joke? I was like, yeah. She goes, I'd have laughed my tits off, man. She said, do you know why? I said, why? She said, the audacity to say that. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse, because I've got a feeling that people look, this is the problem when I get, you know, I get sat in front of, you know, and I'm doing it, and I sort of think, I know what I'll do. I just feel like I want to chat, you know, which is quite odd, you know, and I'm never quite sure whether sort of people sort of think, the hell's this jork man, you know, or you know, or whether people want it or whether people sort of think, shut up, like, you know, I don't really care about you, your life, or what goes on within it, you know, do you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse, and we're going to get these two fields drilled, and then which won't be too long, so it's not going to be a huge amount of time lapse, and then we're going to go drop to the farm, drop this off, and then we'll drive to the shop, and then we'll get the plough, and then we'll do some ploughing. We've only got one field to plough, so I mean, in theory, I could leave it until you know, sort of we're in winter, and make it a bit of winter ploughing. But I thought if we do it now and it gets a good rain on it, and it gets a good, you know, a hard winter on it, some frost and snow. Now with farming sim, you're guaranteed to get snow, so you know that's you know, that's a given that's going to happen to the crop. So as I say, we'll get a good snow on it, and then by the time we get to the spring, the ground will be really friable, and then and we'll have a nice seedbed, and then we'll, as I say, we'll either grow sugar beet or some sweet corn, or you know, something like that, just something for the pigs to eat. We don't need a great deal of it, you see, so that's why I'm thinking maybe sugar beet's not a great idea, because eventually obviously I want to put them on to proper pig food rationing, but at the moment you know, we haven't got enough land to be able to do that, because we have to grow this amount of wheat, you know, for the chickens. So at the moment I can't really not grow this much wheat. If I could get away with not growing this much wheat and splitting the land, obviously I could have a couple of fields of wheat, and then the rest, the ingredients to making pig food, but at the moment I can't do that, so it's unfortunate that the pigs are going to get a very small rationing of sugar beet or corn or maize or whatever we decide to drill. Maize would be probably the slightly better, just because I wouldn't have to buy a sugar beet harvester, and I wouldn't, you know, that will take sort of effort and time. So yeah, maize would probably be the slightly better crop to grow, but anyway, we'll wait and see. I can't see the mark in there. Oh well, we're somewhere near. We're somewhere near it. Anyway, I'm going to switch over to a bit of time lapse, and I'll see you in a little while when I get this done. Bye for now.
what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky on your mind.
Right, I'm back. So yes, here we go. We've got some drilling completed now. So, well, not some, but we've got the drilling completed now, which is always good to have done. The seeds in the ground nice and early, and as I say, that means a relatively early harvest, which is obviously you know, what we would want, especially you know, as we're going to have obviously a second crop type to harvest this year. Whether it is sugar beet or whatever, I don't know yet, but whatever, we've sort of got till the spring to decide. But I'm going to plough this field up until the tractor and rolls in the field in front of us gets finished, and then I'm going to call it a day in terms of, as I say, ploughing for today. So the plan in regards to, so October the 1st is when hopefully the excavator is coming to go into the pig farm, and it's a self-drive hire, so obviously we're going to be doing it ourselves. And the plan or the hope is that we will do it for probably a couple of hours every day, and then we'll go off and do farm work that we've got to do. Like, we've got this field to plough. It isn't going to be too much longer before we'll soon have eggs to sell again. So I'm finding that they're roughly every sort of 2 months ish that we're selling eggs. So we'll have them to do, and that will obviously bring in more money. And what I'm kind of hoping is that we will be able to buy another couple of fields, or at least one more field. That may well then change the plan for this particular field. So this particular field may then go back to being either spring wheat or barley or sorghum or something like that, for the chicken feed. And then the new field or new fields, I don't know what the field prices are like out that way. The fields are relatively big, so I'm assuming that there will be a little bit of a price for them. But as I say, I don't know for sure. But we'll sort of wait and see on that. And as I say, a couple of hours every day we'll do some excavating, get that done. We've got a deal with a company quite a long way away that want the stone that we will get out of there. So when we get the stone out of there, out of the ground, then we will then load that up into we'll put it in piles as we're excavating, and then once we're finished, we will then load the piles of stone up onto the trailers, and then we will ship them down to the train yard. From the train yard we will then put them on the train, and then a company, as I say, quite a long way away, is going to be buying our stone from us, and we've agreed a price at £149 at the moment, £149 a tonne, but that is subject to change. So I think we'll get quite a decent tonnage of stone out of that area. So and as I say, once we get that area dug and sort of leveled off, concreted, and then we can then start to think about the building going up and getting that done. In the meantime, we're still going to be selling eggs, hopefully, and we are going to be able to raise the money from that. And the building itself, the butchery, is going to be over 800,000. We've still got pigs to put in down there, as well as sort of everything else. So I was sort of kind of thinking the other day, I was sort of looking at the plans and sort of thinking, we should achieve that within sort of 2 or 3 years. And then I started to kind of think about, we need a building, nearly £1 million. We need solar panels, because I want to be able to run the building off solar panels, getting on for about £500,000 to £600,000. If we go for wind turbines, over £1 million. And I really started to suddenly kind of sort of realise, it seems and sounds very simple, all of what we want to do. The reality is, it's not that simple. It's not gonna be a quick turnaround, and so we're kind of, But I'm sort of looking at this thinking, hang on a minute, they're gonna need, for the we don't sell our wheat. We don't grow any other crops other than at the moment chicken feed, which obviously we need for our chickens. So that's acceptable enough. I'm sort of don't mind that. There's a reason why we're doing what we're doing, and we're doing it the way that we're doing it. There is a reason for that, and that's fine. But I sort of then sort of started to think, then we need to buy pigs. Then we're going to need pig food. Then we're going to need, we're going to need an animal trailer because we need to transport the pigs to the piggery. And I sort of began to and I thought, this is going to take a while. We are not going to be achieving all of this in a short space of time. This is actually going to take a while for us to achieve. As I say, it's going to be a while, and it's going to be a bit of a long process, but boy, is it going to be worth it when we get to the end and we get the pigs up and running, we get the butchery up and running, we get selling the meat. We're going to be, we're going to be in probably, we've already done 3 years of just sort of the chickens and growing the chickens and growing the amount of chickens and what have you, and I think you're looking at another 3 to 5 years to get the pigs up and running at full capacity, probably even maybe a little bit longer than that. After that, plans then, we keep increasing the acreage. We want to go into more veg style farming, in terms of growing carrots and parsnips and red beets, potatoes, sort of sugar beets, and stuff like that. One thing that I did want to bring up for anyone that watches this series. Firstly, a massive thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch my videos and watch the series. But secondly, are any of you able to put onions onto this map for me, but keep the crop growth calendar that the map currently has? So the map has a custom growth calendar so that you can grow wheat, barleys and canola in the spring, which is it's true to Britain. We can do that, and that's why it's been done, because in the base game you can only grow wheat, you can only plant wheat in the autumn, and it has to be ready by sort of July and harvested, otherwise it withers. Whereas in the UK we don't typically start harvesting wheat till sort of, well, at the earliest early August, but usually around sort of mid-August is when we start harvesting wheat. Depending on how much you've got, if you're a big farm and you've got a lot, then you will be slightly earlier. You'll try and get it in the ground, because it will start to collide with a lot of other crops that need to be brought out of the ground, around that time. But I've managed to successfully put onions into the map, but it left quite a few errors, and also as well I lost my growth calendar, and I don't want to lose the growth calendar, because later on in the save, the particular growth calendar that this map has got is it's going to be important. So if anyone out there is willing to either download the Vintage Oaks and put onions into the game, into the map for me, I would be really, really grateful, and just get in touch via the comments section, and just let me know if you could do that for me, even if you want me to upload the version of the map that I'm playing on, because I have made 1 or 2 little changes to this map. And I also don't know that if you download the new version of Vintage Oaks, whether I'd need to restart the save, which obviously I'm not really keen on doing. So I'd, but as I say, I have made some alterations to this map, again, sort of in readiness for when the save gets a lot further down the line, and we're doing sort of more stuff and more crops. It's going to be it'll all make sense basically. But yeah, if anyone is able and capable out there of putting onions onto this map, then I would be really, really grateful, because like I say, I want to sort of go more veg farming. We will still be arable, we'll still be growing wheat, barleys, canolas, oats, sorghum, and all of that, sort of good stuff. But I would like to have a farm dedicated to veg growing, as we expand our business, and with the veg farm, obviously that will bring factories and productions to that specific farm. This farm down here, so whether it be the sheep farm or whether we find another farm, and that will be like an Arab farm, an arable farm. I'm not going to start farming camels. But yeah, so anything sort of like that, is what I'm sort of thinking long way down the line in terms for this save. So as I say, let me know in the comments if you would be able to to help with that. That would be fantastic. I mean, if you was able to put like cabbages and stuff like that into the game as well, I'm not so worried about them, but the onions I really would like. Yeah, I really would like the onions, just purely because, as I say, I want to try and go sort of all veg. Well, not all veg, but I want to be able to grow enough different kinds of veg. Variety, that was the word I was looking for, in order to make it sort of interesting to do. But yeah, let me know. Anyway, as I say, I am going to leave this episode here now. Going to get that rolling finished. He has virtually done it now, and then as I say, in the next episode we will do a bit of excavating, and then if there's any ploughing left here to do, I mean, to be fair, actually, I haven't got that much more to do now. But yeah, so then we'll be, we can't speak. What on earth's the matter with you, James? Come on. We'll be doing other farming jobs as well. So as I say, there will be other stuff to do during the day, because but also at the same time, the quicker we can get that excavated and then get it concreted and sorted out and leveled out and stuff, the better it will be for us, because then obviously we can then start with the building once we've sort of raised the capital. Dear oh dear oh dear, once we've raised the capital, there we go. So yeah, anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. I've really enjoyed having your company, and I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have done, why not hit that like button? That just shows me that you are liking the content that I'm making. And if you haven't done already, why not hit that subscribe button, because it really does help. So over the last sort of 24 hours or so, I've had this is sort of last week for you, so it may have changed again since then, but over the last 24 hours as I sit here recording this, I've had 4 new subscribers, which it really does give you a boost, and it really does give you that impetus and that kind of, yes, come on, I can do this, I'm doing this, I'm succeeding, where so many people said that I wouldn't, and so many people told me not to do YouTube, and that I'd be wasting my time, that no one would watch me, no one would support me, no one would, whatever. When you get 4 more subscribers, you really sort of think, yes, come on, I'm doing it. One of those persons that said all of those things in the very beginning when I thought about started doing YouTube, I did just send a text message and say, 640 subscribers now. Not bad for someone who wasn't going to be supported and liked on YouTube. And funnily enough, I didn't get a response. But yeah, so it's always nice just to remind people, to remind those types of people, actually, I had a little bit of faith in myself, and I am doing it. It's slowly but surely, but I am doing it. And so I really am, grateful to all of my subscribers. But if you haven't done already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free to do, and honestly, it gives me such a boost in self-esteem and self-confidence and self-belief that it really does help. And also, as well, in the comments, let me know. I'm thinking about putting a little bit of merch available. So many of you will know that you know well, actually, many of you probably won't know, but I used to run my own little business of doing custom t-shirts, hoodies and stuff like that, all to do with stock car racing, and they were hugely successful. And then the government kind of turned around and said people on benefits cannot be selling merchandise on eBay and places like that, Shopify and stuff, and earning extra money, because otherwise we're going to start deducting. So I had to stop that. But I would probably now like to do it for the channel, and sort of take in-game pictures, similar to that one, put them on hoodies and t-shirts and what have you. And again, it would just be a little way of supporting the channel, because I've sort of alluded to in the last sort of week or so, there is a storm coming for people like myself that are unable to work. There are lots of people out there that have made the situation very bad for us and given us a reputation, and now we're going to be cracked down on. And the problem is, as a lot of people in my position have been saying, I've already been to Citizens Advice about this. Unfortunately, the government's going to crack down on people like me, and not the people that are just kind of not going to work because they can't be bothered. It's going to be the wrong type of people that the government crack down on. And as I say, I've already been sort of pre-warned that I may be losing half of the money that I get now, and it's not good. I'm not really sure how I'm going to cope and be able to live, because I only barely get enough now to get by on. So it's going to be tough. So I'm thinking about doing a little bit of merch just to try and sort of help to sort of supplement, and be able to carry on doing what I'm doing. So if you might be interested in that and would consider helping in that way, then just let me know, and then I can get some hoodies designed and t-shirts designed, and then sort of link I can put the pictures up at the end of a video so you can all see them, and then if you'd be interested, I can then list them, and then we can sort it out from there. But anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Can't wait to see you again next time. 640 subscribers. Bye for now.